Boom, what's up you guys? It's Royce Jacob and welcome back to the channel. Hut 8 is a very exciting company with a lot of potential as far as price action is concerned, and they have been making some very big moves lately. In this video, I want to talk about this new partnership. I want to talk about what Hut 8 is, what they do as a company, and why they're appealing from a fundamental perspective. And of course, I want to dive into the charts. We're going to jump into TradingView, and I want to go over my thoughts on the stock from a short, medium, and longer term time horizon. I think this stock could possibly be the best performing Bitcoin miner, maybe just one of the best growth stocks in general as far as 2025 is concerned, the remainder of the year. I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is the most obvious asset. I think it's the fact that it's breaking correlation to the S&P 500 that just had a terrible week is very promising. And although things aren't quite looking too good at the time of recording this video for BTC, I stand by everything I just said, and I do think that Bitcoin can act as the diamond in the rough of a difficult macroeconomic environment. And with that in mind, I think Bitcoin miners can follow suit and outperform most equities. Okay, I'm also excited to say that Hut 8 is a brand new member of the Waves portfolio, the Waves call options portfolio to be specific. We have had a insane year so far. January and February were ones for the history books. March, a little tough, but overall, the Waves portfolio is still up well over 2x, even after this bloody week. Worst week since 2020, because we were loaded up with some Apple and Palantir puts. And actually, some of those put options, some of the put profits I took from my Apple put position went into this new Hut 8 position. So with that in mind, if you want to know how I'm personally trading my portfolio on a daily basis, if you want my daily newsletters, my daily trade alerts, my flash trades, I write these every single trading day. This is just an example of the most recent one I sent out. Then it's the first link in the description of this video. It's my complete portfolio, daily trade alerts, email newsletters. It is only $15 a month, or $40 for every 3 months. It's completely up to you. Join the winning team. It's been an amazing year, and I'm excited for the waves to continue rolling in for us. And again, if you just want to learn, if you want to step up your trading game, learn from my successes, learn from my failures as well, of course. And if you want to join, we look forward to having you. As always, if you are a member, it means a lot if you guys drop a comment down below and just share your experience. Okay, so welcome to the team if you choose to join. If not, no worries at all. I appreciate you watching this, and I hope you're as excited about Hut 8 as I am right now. Okay, so we're going to kick off the video. Watch. Typically, I'll just read over this stuff, but I feel like it'll be funner to just watch their little intro video. So we're going to do that, okay? Let's make sure the volume is up so you guys can hear. Not too loud. This thing actually. Okay, that's the gist of it. You guys can go watch the whole thing for yourselves if you want to. I don't feel like it's necessary to watch the rest. But Hut 8 powering the digital ecosystem. They got Bitcoin mining. They have servers, so they're they have that exposure to the AI sector as well. And this is just a fast-growing company. And as I alluded to in the beginning, they're making some amazing partnerships that I'm sure some of you have heard about already. Okay, so Hut 8, as always, you guys, go check out if this is your first time learning about this company, go to the website, read the investor relations page, go over some of their numbers. Just do the general due diligence prior to getting involved. But in my opinion, this is a very exciting company with a lot of fundamentally appealing prospects. And as we dive into the charts, the price action, I obviously lean very bullish. That's the tone of this video. Who knows what's going to happen, but I think things are really setting up nicely for Hut 8 with this in mind as well. So, again, this was big. They partnered with Hut 8 has partnered with Eric Trump to start a new company by the name of American Bitcoin, I believe. Okay, so we'll just read over this. It's not too long, but this really dives into what's some of the intricacies of this deal and sets the stage for the bullish tone I'm going to take once we dive into the charts. Okay, so in an exclusive interview, Hut 8 CEO Asher Janut reveals how the Trump-backed American Bitcoin venture is aiming to dominate U.S. mining and ultimately take its vision public. Earlier this week, Bitcoin mining giant Hut 8 revealed a partnership that includes two members of the Trump family, Donald Jr. and Eric, and its plans to launch a new mining venture, American Bitcoin. In an exclusive interview, Hut 8 CEO Asher Janut shared new details about the venture's vision, why the timing was right, and how the company plans to scale. The right team and the right time. Quote, we've thought about splitting our Bitcoin mining and energy infrastructure business for some time, Janut said. Meeting Eric and Don Jr. and seeing their deep passion for Bitcoin and infrastructure was the perfect catalyst. According to Janut, the goal is clear, to build one of the world's largest and most efficient Bitcoin mining platforms, rooted in American soil and aligned with pro-Bitcoin sentiment growing under President Donald Trump's administration. Eric told me, I don't want to get involved in anything that isn't the biggest and the best. He said that's pretty in line with what you'd expect Trump to say. The move comes at a pivotal moment for U.S.-based mining, with China out of the picture post-2021 crackdown and Washington now openly exploring the idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. America's place in the global mining ecosystem is under transformation. Still, size isn't everything. Janut emphasized that efficiency and cost effectiveness are core to the strategy. Quote, we don't just want to be the biggest, we want to be the most efficient and most cost-effective miner. If our cost basis isn't low, we might as well just buy Bitcoin. Mining and accumulating BTC, this is where we're going to wrap it up, you guys. American Bitcoin's structure allows it to mine BTC at a low cost, accumulate more when the market allows, and potentially expand into other Bitcoin ecosystem services. Hut 8 currently holds over 10K BTC on its balance sheet, worth up to $1 billion depending on market conditions. American Bitcoin aims to surpass that. And the company isn't just bullish on Bitcoin, it's bullish on power consumption. Janut pushed back on criticism that mining wastes energy. Quote, power consumption has only increased with every tech revolution. Cheap excess energy is what drives Bitcoin mining, and a lot of that energy is renewable. Looking ahead, Hut 8's mining spinoff has big ambitions. Our focus is scaling. Our focus is taking this company public on a U.S. exchange, and you'll hear more from us soon. Okay? So, something that many of you, including myself, are probably thinking right now is, what does this do for Hut 8 specifically as a company? Because this is a new company, subsidiary, whatever you want to call it, of Hut 8. And this is, look, if they're trying to take it public, it's going to be under a new stock or a new ticker symbol. But what I'm about to say here is entirely speculative, but what makes sense to me is that there will be either a merger or an acquisition between Hut 8 and American Bitcoin at some point down the line. Who knows when, but just all things considered, this is like a partnership. It would be pretty surprising to me if these remained individual entities and didn't once again merge, or one acquires the other at some point in time, which would be good news. You know, it's likely that American Bitcoin, in my just thinking about the trajectory of what's going on and the fact that the Trumps are going for the biggest and best, and just Janut is the current CEO of Hut 8 is supportive of the brothers' venture and wants to, obviously they just made a deal. They're in this venture together. And it makes sense to me that American Bitcoin will likely acquire Hut 8 or just bring them under their umbrella as a company, just merge at some point in the future. Okay, so again, that is speculative. I want to make that very clear, but it just kind of makes, it's kind of commonsensical when you think about how this partnership will evolve down the line. Okay, so now is the fun part. I will just say before we talk technicals, after this, I'm going to record my weekly Waves Plays video covering names like RIOT, Mara, Robinhood, Uber, just names within the Waves portfolio that are exciting right now. I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin in there, of course, as well. Some of the other names, Apple, Palantir. Those are members exclusive videos. If you want to become a member of the Waves YouTube channel, it's just $5 a month. You can hit the join button below this video for those weekly Waves Plays videos and more. Okay. So that said, let's move on to this chart that is looking exciting. We'll start with the short term. You guys can see here, that was just, just to give you guys an idea, a little taste in the intro of what a pretty optimistic scenario is, and I'll explain how optimistic, the levels of optimism that are taking place here on this chart. But let's start short term, and then we'll zoom out and go a little longer term. Okay, so in the short term, you can see here, stocks have been on an absolute downtrend. Okay, so stocks have been going down. Bitcoin miners, Hut 8 have not been able to escape that. Okay, what's up, little man? Hut 8 has not been able to escape that. So pulling back right now, as our most growth stocks and most tech stocks out there, very oversold levels. And you can see here that Hut 8 has bounced. We briefly broke below a pretty critical line of long-term support that's been in place since January of 2024. Thankfully, we ended up closing the day above that, which is very, very promising from pretty much all time frames and all time horizons. But in the short term, it seems much likelier than not. And keep in mind, I am bullish on Bitcoin, although many are bearish and there's a lot of doom and gloom out there. There is a lot of fear. The fear and greed index for the S&P 500 actually just hit a 4 on Friday before we headed into this weekend. So there is a pretty historical amounts of doom and gloom out there. And with that in mind, considering the market's job is to fool as many people as possible, it makes sense to me that at the very least, a short-term relief rally that hopefully turns into more is likely. So as far as the short term is concerned, there's a very, very, obviously you have these moving averages that'll probably come into play, probably pose a little bit of resistance. But if you've been keeping up with the channel, if you've been a member of Wavescap for any meaningful amount of time, you would know that at the end of the day, the good old stick figure trend line, these lines, as you would know if you watch the members exclusive Trader Tips video about conservative and absolute trend lines. These stick figure trend lines really are, in my opinion, after a decade of trading and doing this, more important than pretty much any other indicator. And that's just, the longer you spend in this game, the more you actually realize that to be true. It's counterintuitive. And, as kind of strange as that may be. But anyway, there's a very, very clear prior low on the downtrend that we were in that has yet to be retested as a new high. Okay. So first things first, I think that it's much likelier than not within the next 30 to 45 days. I'll just say by the end of the month of May by June 1st, to keep it simple, I think that we can definitely make our way up to this prior low and retest this as a new high right around 1870. Okay, so that's my first target. This intersects with the line of conservative resistance here on the overall downtrend on May 5th. Okay, so sorry, May 2nd. Okay, so May 2nd, these trend lines intersect. This prior low intersects with conservative resistance. If we pull this out, you can see here, if we pull this out and get that intersection with what I would call absolute resistance, I'm not going to keep pulling that out, but that would come into play around early to mid-June. Okay. So again, because Bitcoin is breaking correlation at this SPY, because BlackRock's bullish on Bitcoin, Larry Fink thinks Bitcoin is the best asset ever. And there's just so many factors, not even micro factors. That's a pretty big deal. That's, there's just so much momentum from a fundamental perspective that it is riding in Bitcoin's favor. I do think Bitcoin, as I said earlier, is going to be that diamond in the rough of a sketchy macroeconomic environment. And, bullish on Bitcoin miners. So from here, if we can manage to break above this level of resistance, this level of absolute resistance, just call it, it's a pretty steep line, so it's going to be very dependent upon the one that's struck. But if we can break above this, my next target from there is going to be this line of I wouldn't say conservative resistance, but this line of resistance on what would be a nice parallel ascending channel. Okay, so this line is falling parallel to the line of support. It's virtually identical, and you can see that this was a proven point of resistance on this existing channel until we broke above it and just kind of floated around there. But this would be my next price target. This falls also around a psychological even of $25, depending upon when we hit it once again. But overall, this is I wouldn't be surprised at all, especially if Bitcoin does what I think and hope it can do. I'm an optimist, so keep that in mind. I definitely think that $24-25 by mid-June, by those summer months, is very, very possible. The most optimistic scenario, okay? This is optimistic. Keep this in mind. But as I just said, I'm an optimist. I think it's possible that, again, granted Bitcoin can prove itself worthy. I think that Hut 8 can make its way up to this line of long-term resistance. Saying by the end of the summer, or saying by, June, July, may be a little optimistic. It may take longer than that. But, as we zoom these out, and this is even conservative absolute resistance, this would be technical absolute resistance right here, but I'm going to play a conservative. And I always know, you guys, like, this is where I would take profits on this line of what I call conservative resistance. So let's just be a little more conservative here and say, October, November, by the historically bullish months of October and November, if we can recover, if Bitcoin pulls through, I would be surprised in the slightest to see Hut 8 come to this top line of resistance on this macro long-term ascending channel pattern, which would take us to, like $32, $33 if we do see this in the fall of 2025. Say Bitcoin sees 250, 500K plus, even more, things can get even more exciting. You guys know what things looked like in 2021. Maybe not if you're new, but things can happen fast. And there's just a lot of fear in the air. And I want to close out the video with the note that, like, during times of panic are when investors panic and, get rid of positions out of fear and out of emotion. But over the course of my career, it's been those times when you can stand your ground and just keep a cool head on your shoulders while so many are making hot-headed, irrational decisions. And, that patience really does pay off. Bitcoin miners, as we look at Riot Mar in this next video I'm about to record, like, if you just zoom out on them, we recover every single time. There hasn't been a time where we haven't made a pretty impressive recovery. These things are zigzags. These things go up and down. That is just the nature of these beasts. And, it can seem like the end of the world when things are falling, but that's usually when it's the best time to start buying. Again, that's what I did. And again, if you guys want to trade with me on a daily basis, if you guys want these daily newsletters, it's the first link in the description of the video. I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Hut 8. If you're excited, what's your favorite miner? Whatever you guys want to talk about, talk to me down there. And until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.